This is the first in a series of videos I intend to create to teach you how to use Courier to mod the messenger and create custom levels. I'm making this series because there aren't a lot of resources on it, and the text resources aren't enough for some people. In this specific tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to create custom levels and get started with that. This is going to go over setting up Unity and getting your custom level into the game itself. I'll make a tutorial later on to cover the actual level design process and what you can do using the tools provided. Any changes to the process will be noted in the description, as long as they're minor enough to not warrant a whole new video. I'll also be providing timestamps in the description for different parts of the tutorial, and a link to join the Messenger Modding Discord, which is a good resource if you have any questions that aren't covered in this video. I'll be mainly going off of this tutorial, which again I'll have linked in the description, and this is going to walk you through the same process I'll be covering. You're going to want to start off by installing Unity 2017.4. Go to this page, and the reason we're using this version is because the messenger was made in this, so we want to be using the same sort of tools. And we're just going to go down to this first bit, download the Windows installer, save it to your downloads folder, and run it when you're ready. It's going to ask for administrator permissions, which I've accepted, and then we're going to use this installer here. Accept the license. Depending on what you want to do, depends on what these settings are. For most people, what I have selected right now should be good. Unity itself, documentation, standard assets. You might not even need all these, but there's no harm. MonoDevelop and Microsoft Visual Studio might be useful if you want to do some coding, or you might already have one of them installed, in which case you obviously do not need to install them again. And if you choose not to include either of those, Unity will give you a warning. So I already have those installed, so I already have Visual Studio installed, so I'm just going to be clicking OK here, and all the rest of these should be fine. So we're going to hit next and wait for it to go through the install process. Alright, now that you've finished installing Unity, we're just going to hit the finish button to launch Unity, and we're going to go back to the previous tutorial. And the next step is to download the custom level template. And we're going to just want to download anyway. I assure you I put no viruses in this. Now we're going to want to download this and save it somewhere. Probably the downloads folder makes the most sense. And now that you've downloaded it, you're going to extract that and use Unity to open it. Alright, so we're going to go into our downloads folder. We're going to hit right click, hit extract all, use the window that keeps popping up on the second monitor, extract that. And just wait for that to complete. Once you've finished extracting that file, you're going to want to take Unity, which you should have opened after you finished installing, and then open, visit the folder, and then just choose select folder to open it as a project. You might get something that says this, which just tells you that it's a slightly different version of Unity than I used. originally to export it. So this should not be an issue. Just hit continue. It's just a slightly different version. And Unity's going to go and open up. Alright, now that you have Unity opened up, you're going to see something that looks a lot like this. And as you can see, here is a sample level I've put together. Now, if we go back and check on this tutorial, next step, just edit our scene. So we're going to do something real simple for the purposes of this tutorial. So take this window, note that you've got all these tiles here. You can use, this is just the Unity editor, normal stuff. You can right click and drag to pan around. You can left click to select things, and you can middle click also to pan. It's probably different, I don't know. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to use the rotors tile set system to edit some of these tiles here, and that's going to be a very simple thing to make something different from what you start with. So what you're going to want to do first is you're going to want to go to Window and then choose the option of Rotors Tile System, and that's going to open up this tool section right here. Yours might appear like this, and then you're going to have to drag it into there, or you can keep it out as a separate window or drag it really anywhere else. Like, your version of Unity is not going to look the same as mine. You could have it over here or something. That's all fine. And then you're going to want to choose, and then this brushes menu will also not exist by default. So to open that up, you're going to want to hit this menu button, go to Editor Windows, and choose Brushes. And so, that popped up somewhere else. So you're going to take the Brushes window, and you can put it, again, wherever you want. Also, the Scene menu, similar process, Scene. And so you're going to take your Scene menu, and again, wherever you want. I like it down here because this console doesn't get used a lot. So this is showing you the different places you can place tiles. So what we're going to do is we're going to add something in the 8-bit tiles. Middle ground is the code word for, when it says middle ground, it means that's the stuff you stand on, the tiles you stand on. So you're going to click middle ground to select it. You're going to click this brush tool to paint, and you're going to want to choose a type of brush. And there's a lot of stuff in here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Template, and I'm going to choose the 8-bit tile set. You can actually draw with the 16-bit tile set in 8-bit, but to differentiate, we're using the 8-bit tile set. So we're just going to go whoop, draw a little thing here. You can use right click and drag to erase, because I think the ninja might get stuck right there if it's too close. And amazing. That's it. That's the whole thing we're going to be doing here. So, and you're going to want to go down to in the Scene tab, you're going to want to hit Build, and you're going to hit Save and Proceed. And then what you're going to want to do is it's going to put you, and it might put you here, it might put you somewhere else, but it doesn't really matter. But you're going to want to save this as, by default, it'll have build with a lowercase added on the end. You're going to want to change that to uppercase. And that's an important step, otherwise it won't work. So save like that. Yes, you want to replace it if it already exists. And then we've built our scene. This converts it to a more efficient format that isn't going to be quite so laggy, essentially. And then the next step, you're going to want to go up to Window. You're going to want to go to Asset Bundle Browser. And this is going to let you take your the scene you've built and export it as an asset bundle that can be loaded by the game. So you should already have this here, and I missed a very important step actually. So we're going to ignore this for now. Leave it over here or something. And something you need to do when you first open up things up is you're going to want to go into your template, wherever you extracted that, go into Assets, go into Scene, 3-Scene, Modded, and you're going to see these two things here. So what you want to do is you can delete this if you want. This doesn't matter. We're going to rebuild this. But this right here, you're going to want to rename that to something unique. So I'm going to name it template scene. And it's important that I also rename this meta to be the same thing. So we're going to name this here Brochemia template scene. So this is important because if you name it the same thing as the actual template scene, then you're going to have a conflict if anyone loads both of these mods at the same time. So you don't want that to happen. That would be very bad. So now you've renamed it. We're going to go back to Unity. Unity is going to load stuff for a second, and you'll see it's now named that. Over here, we have a slight issue. So we're going to close that. We're going to reopen it to make sure it's refreshed. And you can see now it's empty because I just changed the scene. It no longer exists. So we're going to want to go to Project. We're going to go to Scene, 3-Scene, Modded, right here. And this is the scene we just renamed, as you can see right here. So we're going to take that, we're going to drag it into the bundle, and you'll see everything appears. Another important thing to do is to rename this to something similar, Brochemia template. And the reason I'm using my username here is because that makes sure it's unique, because no one else has this username, probably, and so it's a good way of ensuring that everything is kept unique. You could name it the name of your map, but what if someone else comes up with the same map? That's why. So now that you've renamed this, we're going to want to go to the build menu. And we can just leave everything as it is and hit build. And then we need to just give it a couple seconds to build the scene into an asset bundle. Alright, now that it's completed, we can close this. We can go back to our scene. We're going to go into the mod template folder. You're going to see there's an asset bundles thing here, and a whole bunch of stuff that is stuff I've worked on before, which I may remove at some point from this because those really aren't supposed to be there. But you'll see right here I have Brochemia template, and yours will be named whatever you named the asset bundle, which should be your username, not mine. And we're going to take this and the manifest file, and we're going to copy it. Then you're going to want to go to the location where you have your game files. Once you've gone to your game files, you're going to want to go into the mods folder. This assumes you already have Courier installed. And you're going to see I have a whole bunch of mods here, but what we need to do is we need to create a new mod. So we're going to create a new folder, and I'm going to name it Brochemia template, just keeping with the trend we've been doing. And we're going to go in here, and we're going to create another folder called Asset Bundles. And then in there, we're going to paste in what we have. So this is the basic structure of the mod. However, we're going to need to do a little bit more. So we need to create a file called a courier.toml. and that's going to be basically a text document with a different extension. So we're going to create new text document, and if yours does not say .txt at the end for whatever reason, you need to go up here to View, and you need to turn on showing file name extensions like this. Otherwise, it won't show .txt, and you can't change it to .toml. So we're going to rename this text document we've just created to be courier.toml. This is going to include a bunch of information about how your mod works. And it's going to warn you about changing the file extension. That's fine. We know what we're doing. So we're going to open that, and you can use anything you want. I'm just using Notepad because everyone has Notepad. And so we're going to choose the name of our mod. So this is also important to be unique. Again, I'm going to stick with Brocunia template. No one's going to, this is not what the user will see, so you don't need to worry about like spaces or whatever. This is just for internal purposes. Then you're going to choose the version. You probably want to start with 1.0.0, and then you're going to choose your dependencies, and typically you're going to want your dependencies to include Courier itself. So you're going to have name equals Courier, and the version of Courier you require is, so I'm going to use 0.6.6 for this, which is at this time one of the most recent versions. And then this square bracket to close it off. So we've got a dependency right here. This is one of our dependencies. Say you wanted a different dependency. You could do this. My dependency. That's not how you spell dependency. Amazing. So this is your dependency. This is going to be the name of another mod and the version you require. And it'll also accept versions higher than that. And that's how you set dependencies for your mod. Note that there needs to be a comma separating them. But we're not going to do that right now because we just need Courier. Now, for custom levels, there's a special process to get it to load from the game. So we're going to do level sets equals square bracket. And so this is going to be define some details about our level. So we want starting scene is going to be equal to the name of the scene. And so if you remember, looking right here, I named mine Brocunia underscore template underscore scene. And that's going to be our starting scene name. And now we're going to also need something called name localization ID. And this is going to be something I'm going to get to in a second. But this basically says, this is basically an internal code it uses to find what name to call it for the user to see, something user-friendly. But the localization ID itself is not user-friendly. So I'm going to name it, again, Brocunia template scene. So this is just going to be something used internally, again. Starting bits is either 8 or 16, depending on what you want to start in, 8-bit or 16-bit. I'm going to go with 8-bit. And starting inventory is going to be a list of numbers. Now these numbers represent the different items you can have in game. So I have a list that I've been using for my template, which has a bunch of stuff in it. I'm not going to get to explaining all of them, which one is which, but it's like climbing claws, rope dart, wingsuit. I think it's got like an upgrade in there. It's a couple different things. Also, the scroll and time travel are included in here. Those are separate items, but I'll make something at some point with references to what all these numbers mean. But this is a good starting point. So we got 3, 4, 6, 7, 37, 50, 41, and 76. And we're going to want to have a square bracket at the end to close that, and a curly bracket to end. That's everything we need for our level. We're going to need one more square bracket to end the level sets thing. So this defines our level set, and this is all we need here. So save. You can close this now. You don't need it anymore. And that's the essentials we need for loading our level. So now that we've done that, we're going to want to launch the game itself. Once you have the game open, you're going to want to just start it up as you normally would. Go to Play Mod Levels, and you should see your custom level appearing here. And right there at the top, you see to the missing localization Brochemia template scene. That's just an error message because we haven't defined the user-friendly name for it yet. And you'll see I also have 2 other things loaded right now. But we're just going to start a new game on this level. Name it whatever you want, as you would. Alright, Corbel's been up there for too long. There's a problem. I'm going to figure out what it is and be right back. Okay, so we're back in Unity. I tracked down the issue, and so it's something very simple, but what I forgot to do is I forgot to rebuild our scene after we renamed it to something different. So you're going to hit the build button here, save and proceed, save it right here. Make sure you change that to a capital B, otherwise it will not work. Save, and you'll see a new file's appeared. We're going to want to go back to the asset bundle browser, and we're going to want to delete this existing one because this is just the normal scene, not the built scene, which is the issue we had here. And now you take the build scene, drag it in here, build it again. So now we're going to take the file we just exported, which is going to be, once again, in your asset bundles folder in the mod template folder. So right here, Brochemia template, we're going to copy that. We're going to go into the asset bundles folder, and we're going to paste it in there, replacing the files we had before in our mod. That's Brochemia template for me, your username, or whatever name you've chosen for you. So once you've done that, now we should be able to launch the game successfully and load into our level. Alright, now we're back in the game. We're going to go to Play Mod Levels. We're going to open the same file. This time it should work. And bam, we're in. So as you can see, all those tiles I've added are still there, and you can go through this template level. Notice that they're collidable, of course, and they work just as you'd expect. So you've been able to make your first change to a level, and this is a very basic level containing a variety of stuff you might want to use. We've got a couple different enemies, some lanterns, one of those rope dart hooks, so you can do this, yoink, a transition to 16-bit with a death pit, Corbel over here doing his thing. Yeah, all the basics you would expect in a level. A portal, and some time shards at the end. So this is just a basic setup so you can mess around with this and make your own levels. I'll be making some future tutorials explaining more details about how to work with this and how to create levels using the tools you've provided. But for now, this is just the basics. Feel free to ask any questions you have in that Discord I linked in the description. And that's it. Enjoy your level making.